We need some answers. All right. It's not very feminine of you. Okay. I love ya, but you got some splaining to do.
Welcome to Worthy of Note, the podcast where one overthinking girly shares her various musings about the world with the world. I'm your host, Lauren Carlton. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Worthy of Note. I'm address the elephant in the room. It has been 3 months since I have recorded anything and posted an episode. And you know what, y'all? I'm tired. All right. I'm actually thoroughly exhausted, decrepit, dilapidated, and downtrodden. In no particular order. So much has happened in the world and in my own personal life that I am just like so exhausted. Like I don't even know how I am here to tell you the tale. That being said, I'm here. And I am going to give a little bit of an update of how 2025 has been going for me, because again, as of the last time I recorded, it was January, like the second week of January. So yeah. Okay. So first off, in general, I have just been feeling incredibly anti-capitalist lately. I feel like I'm becoming radicalized, if I'm going to be completely honest. I am really hating what our country is looking like, and with the amount of racism that I have experienced already in my life, it's already enough there. But seeing what's happening to people who look like me and people who are brown-skinned and, you know, being ripped away from their homes unrightfully, like no one should ever be ripped around from their homes, regardless of if they're here illegally or not. But like, especially people who like literally are here legally, like who literally are just trying to make a way for themselves and for their families. And for immigrants who aren't here legally, like there are so many more processes that are way more humane and way more effective and kind to people who are trying to legally be here, you know, are trying to make their life here. Am I surprised? No. We knew this was coming with Project 2025. We knew this was coming with Trump's increased far-right rhetoric, and the people that he surrounds himself with and who he is allowing himself to be informed by. But it doesn't make it any less heartbreaking to see. And it's been really hard to be a marginalized person. Like, it's been a lot. I'll talk about it later. I was going to talk about the fucking incentive to have a child. Do you really think they're going to give my black ass $5,000 or however much they said they were going to give people for having babies? First of all, it's dystopian as fuck. Like, but we already knew that, right? But you think they gonna give my black ass money for having a kid and not turn around and say, oh, well, look, this is the 21st century welfare queen. Look at them. They're just having babies. They're just popping them out just so that they can get money. Just for a check. It's a trap. I'm not doing that shit. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. Because first of all, I didn't really want to have kids anyway, and because expensive and pain and no. But second of all, no. Y'all ain't gonna catch me and try to switch the narrative up on me. I ain't doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Leave me alone. That being said, I've been trying to resist in my own little ways at my old job, which news flash, I started a new job recently, and I love it a lot. My job before this, I can't go super into it. I probably will later at some point when I'm a little bit farther removed from it, but if you heard that in the background, that's my cat. That's another new thing. I got a cat, and I love her so much. Her name is Emmy. Shout outs to her. Yes. My employment ended at my job in March, and honestly, I couldn't have been happier. Like, looking back, like, I don't like the way that it ended, but I am so glad that it did, because I was getting to a really dark place mentally at that job. A new boss was hired, and he was not great. We already had an inkling that he might not be great from his interview, but he was hired anyway. Go figure. It's all about money. But anyway, yeah, just really, really, really condescending, a little misogynistic, a lot of misogynistic, honestly. Not a great guy. And my work was great for the nearly year that I was there, until he came, and apparently all of a sudden my work wasn't good enough. And I went through a lot of management changes, like a lot of turnover in my management at the time, and didn't have a manager for a while. And it was a lot that I was struggling with. And on top of that, struggling with a lot of my personal health issues that I was having. And was still pushing through. I started to have these meetings with this person and with his boss, who was my interim boss until he came, apparently. It just turned really bad. It's crazy, because that woman, I had been meeting with her for a couple of months at work and having meetings. And she was very empathetic, seemingly, to my conditions, and claimed she was a feminist. But then she told me that her husband is a Trump supporter. So I don't know how that works. I don't know if the math is mathing. Maybe that's like high level trigonometry that I'm not adept at, figuring out. But, yeah, it didn't make any sense to me. Wasn't adding up. But then I realized, like, it's all fake. She literally said, my empathy is gone for you because of the way that you have been working, and the way that your new boss, I can't say names, but your new boss has told me about you. And I'm like, okay, all right. I don't want to really talk about it, because it's just, the whole thing was so incredibly wrong. And I feel like there was definitely a racial component to a lot of things. And I even brought that up, but it was just swiftly ignored. And I was the only black person in that department. So if you can imagine the culture, yeah, my tone was policed. And even though that I was starting to improve according to them, like, they said, well, it's just your tone, your attitude, if you can adjust that. And I'm like, okay, so we're tone policing now? Wow. Okay. So, yeah, it has just been really hard. I left that job and quickly got a new one, at a place that I feel way more welcome at, and that I feel way more committed to the work, honestly, and feel like my creativity can really thrive. I came to the conclusion while I was at that old job that I just simply cannot work at a place or in a position that is solely meant to get people to give us money. Like, I can't do that. Like, I genuinely have such an aversion to capitalism and to greed. Like, right now, I always have, but just especially having this own personal experience, like those two people that I was talking about who really barely didn't even know how to use the platforms that we were using, that the rest of the staff were using, managers made $130,000 and $230,000 a year, respectively. Like, so much fucking money You know what I could do with that? Like, I don't even need that much. I don't even need the 6 figures. Give me a smooth 80,000 and I'll be happy. Okay? But yeah, with the way that they were acting and treating the people who were beneath them on the chain of command or whatever, like, it was crazy. And I realized my job was to present engaging social media, to eventually get people to engage with our content and become members, or ultimately donate and give us money. After a while, I realized, like, with the things that I was seeing on the back end, and how much money we were getting already, and the fact that we were asking for more, I was just like, okay. I don't know about that. I just hated the culture. I hated a lot of the things that I couldn't do. Like Black History Month posts, wasn't allowed to do that. A place that claims to value all of their members and their audience, but really, truly in practice does not. And I'm like, I can't work for a place like that. I'm so sorry. I know no company is perfect, but ultimately, if I can go somewhere else where I feel like the money is going to a better place and I can see where that money is going, that's what I'm going to do. And that's where I found, and I love it a lot. I'm so grateful for it. I'm grateful for my new coworkers. They're so helpful and kind, and I feel like they really value my ideas and they really value what I can offer. And that is really all I want. I want to feel heard and listened to and feel like I'm in a group that I can bounce ideas off of and that just are genuinely good people. And that is where I feel I have landed. And I'm very excited and happy about it. It's been 3 weeks at the job and I already love it a lot. It's been really overwhelming. I don't know if you can hear how tired I am. It definitely has a lot more responsibility, but it is going to be really good, I think, once I get into the groove of things. In terms of it being hard to be Black, it still feels that way. But like I said, I've been pushing back in my own little way. You know, back at my old job, I would use the black thumbs up emoji. I know that sounds really silly and like trivial, but you never know. Like, people, especially if you work in like a mostly homogenous workplace, like, people don't really realize, like, yeah, there are different skin tones of emojis and I'm gonna use them. That's my own little way, okay? It made me feel better. I have been doing that. I've been asking for personal reparations from my boyfriend, who is white, you know, lots of foot rubs, all the good stuff, okay? And protecting my peace, honestly. That's what I've been doing. And that's just a little life update from me. For those of you who out there who feel downtrodden and dilapidated like I, keep going, keep pushing. There are always gonna be good things in the world, even if they're small. Like, I found these biscoff coated ice cream bars. Girl, my soul almost like elevated and left my body. Like, it literally, I could see it. I felt like I could see my aura. Okay, I'm getting a little woo woo here, but I need you to understand how fucking good these biscoff ice cream bars were. I like biscoff in general. I don't know if y'all know, it's them little cookies they give you on the airplanes, but you could literally get them anywhere. Aldi has a really good dupe of them. I forgot what they're called, but I literally have them in my cabinet right now. Like, go get you some. There's those things. There are, you know, good foods, good people that you can surround yourself with, good media. Like, I have been obsessed with all things Sunrise on the Reaping and just Hunger Games in general. I've been binging reaction and commentary videos. I've gotten all up in the booty crack of that book, like dissecting every single possible connection to the original trilogy. Suzanne Collins is such a gift to the literary world. Like, I have been a fan of her since Gregor, the Overlander. Y'all know nothing about it. But yeah, it was good shit. Like, I was reading that in the 5th grade, and it was awesome. And I loved her writing then, and I love it now. I feel like every single book we get from her is just so powerful and so honestly, relevant to what's happening today. And I think her most recent edition, Sunrise on the Reaping, is Sunrise on the Weeping, low-key could be another fucking title, because girl, this fucking book, I was reading it like during the time where I was going through my whole like final days at my old job, and it was just like really shitty. So I was prone to tearing up way more than usual, which is saying a lot because I'm a crybaby. I'm a crybaby bitch, and it's fine, okay? I got through to the 5th chapter and was boo-hoo crying, like snot nose, everything. And I was like, I have to put this away for right now. I can't do this. But I eventually finished it, and dude, it's one of the most like heartbreaking books I've ever read in my lifetime. Like, I know these are fake characters, like they're not real, but knowing how brutal and how, again, relevant the things that are happening in this book are, like, it saddened me to my core. And also, I just have had a connection to these characters since I was 12, when I had my little Kindle and I had my mama upload each book one by one to my Kindle, The Hunger Games. So yeah, I love it, and I want to know you guys' thoughts. I like Suzanne Collins, she's gonna write more books. Like, I know she is. I just feel it in my spirit that she is going to write more books. And I honestly want to hear a POV book. Like, this one was from Hamish, obviously, but I do have some musings about what I think would be really great to see from Suzanne Collins in terms of another POV book. I would love to see Effie's book, a book for Effie. I know that it's kind of crazy, but hear me out. Plutarch and Effie. So those are two people from like the capital side that I would love to get a POV book, because, okay, spoilers. I'm a little bit of spoilers. I'm not gonna go too deep, but Plutarch clearly has gone through this process of being radicalized and of wanting to eventually help the rebels, right? I want to know how he got there from literally living in the fucking capital where nobody gives a fuck about the districts and see them as scum and subhuman. Like, I want to know how he got from that to literally heading and leading a revolution like 20 some odd years later. Like, I want to know. I want to see his childhood, honestly, because we already know from Snow's book, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, like, we already know some of the maybe characters that are going to be parents of characters in Plutarch, that would be in Plutarch's book, that are there, like, that we've established. Heavensbee was mentioned in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, so I'm like, it would be cool and plausible to actually explore Plutarch's story from that lens of being in the capital and him becoming radicalized. Like, I want to know, did he have a, traumatic experience? He definitely had to have, because Suzanne Collins, that's all she does is trauma. But, like, did he have to have some sort of traumatic experience with someone from a district that changed his mind or his life, or like the trajectory of what his life was going to be when he realized, like, yes, they are humans too? Or, like, did he stumble upon, like, a banned book or something? Like, I don't know. I would be so curious to see Plutarch's sort of evolution from what he was before to him leading this rebellion. So I would love to see that, and I would also love to see Effie. I mentioned her. We did see her in Hamish's book briefly. And I would love to see her book. Some people were really split on Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes because they were like, oh, like, they're trying to make us sympathetic to President Snow because we saw that he was starving too, you know, during the dark days, and like this is why he has such a hatred towards the districts. I didn't see it that way at all. At first, the first time I read it, I was like, okay, like maybe I see a little bit of that, but his inner dialogue was so fucked and like was so like infuriating to me that I was like, no, this is just how he is. Like, there are people who grew up poor and didn't turn out to be this shitty of a person and this conniving and twisted of a person as he is. That's just how he is, right? And so I think it would be interesting to see Suzanne Collins writing a person who we now know, like writing Effie, who didn't turn out as evil as President Snow, but certainly, you know, in the first Hunger Games was like super out of touch and like super propagandized. I don't know if that's a word, but like super, like really buying into what the Capitol does and the brutality of it, and not seeing it as brutal, but seeing it as something that's necessary to keep the Capitol and the districts and Panem as a whole running smoothly and at peace. I would be so curious to see her point of view, because she is a little bit sympathetic in a way, but then she says some fuck shit that's like, girl, you had us, like, come on, like you man. At the end of the trilogy, like, we see Effie as a very sympathetic character. She kind of joins the rebellion. She doesn't like sell anybody out, and she's kind of there as like a reluctant visitor or guest in District 13. But I think she does have a lot of changes in her heart. We kind of start seeing that in Catching Fire, where she's like, you guys deserve so much better, to Peeta and Katniss when they're going in for the second games. And like, I think part of me wonders, like, is it because she believed in their love story so much that it's so sad? She's sad because of that, or is she sad because they're going to die and they saw and experienced so much brutality that she wishes that they deserve so much better, as in like to be left alone for the rest of their lives and to, you know, heal and to have a good life. I don't know, but that's something I would love for Suzanne to explore. I think that'd be great, personally. I also would like to see Rue's book. Like, I know, like, hear me out, this might be crazy because like her life was very short-lived, very tragically, but I would be so interested in bringing race into Suzanne's writing. Like, she kind of already has it there, but it's a lot more like classism. But also, we do know that District 11 is a predominantly black district, and I'd be so interested in seeing how segregation plays into Panem and like the formation of the districts. Like, I don't know, I think it would be so interesting and fascinating to see from someone who lived there in District 11, see their point of view and see how I want to learn more about Rue and her family dynamic, and like learn more about her brothers and sisters that she lived with, and how, you know, how it was being, you know, part of the orchard district where she was picking from the orchards and like that type of work. Like, I think it's very interesting, and I would love to learn more about that. So those are the three people that I would like really love a book from. I know Suzanne, she writing, she always got a pen in her hand, I know, but I just don't know when, and I don't know, you know, what is the thing, but it would be really great. So yeah, that has been some media that I have been consuming lately, and I'm obsessed with it, and I love it, and I think it's a little too close to home, but at the same time, like, it helps. Even though like the themes are very real, it does help to kind of like dive into this other universe, or this other, you know, like this fake in a way place, and kind of, you know, discuss these things on that level. It kind of helps you go through and talk through what's going on in a way that's not like, oh shit, this is actually happening to us too. I don't know. It's like a good it's one of my coping skills. Is it healthy? I don't know. Okay, I'm probably going to be really late to this, actually, but I still want to talk about it because I think it's very important, and I think it's an interesting topic that we could explore in terms of celebrity responsibility and celebrity privilege. Chappell Roan and call her daddy. Now, I feel like if you watch any Call Her Daddy episode, regardless, like you can kind of tell the vibe and you can kind of tell the audience that it's geared towards. And that is already a red flag for me personally. So if you don't know, Call Her Daddy it's kind of a whole empire, but it is essentially a podcast that is run by Alex Cooper. She brings on people, all different types of celebrities, influencers, etc. And it's like this girl chat, basically. I'm assuming it's like it was originated as this like, yeah, like we're like feminists, be like, call me daddy, you know what I mean? Like that's where I think it came from, but in a way it kind of negated the whole purpose of feminism, because it still was like trouting out a lot of very internally misogynistic rhetoric and views, and I think it still does, honestly. If none of that, meant anything to you, Call Her Daddy is a subsidiary or a product of Barstool Sports, okay? Barstool. Okay. Yeah. I'm not going to shit on anybody necessarily for the type of content they consume. Watch what you want, listen to what you want, just have critical thinking about whatever it is. That's my whole thing, Yeah, I personally am not a fan because I don't really feel like, I don't see myself in that content. I don't see myself reflected in it. I don't see people who look like me. I also don't see issues that affect the people that I love reflected in it, or humor or topics that would appeal to me or my friends. And so I'm like, no, I'm not really that interested, I say all that to say that Chappell Roan did appear on the Call Her Daddy podcast earlier this month. So this is April. And I want to say it was either earlier this month or really late March. And I think Alex asked her, like, how do you feel about people looking up to you for like political opinions or something like that? And Chappell basically went off and was like, I don't understand how people can expect someone to, write songs, do concerts, eat, and, like do all this. You listed out all of this stuff and like do all these things and still be politically aware and like still like I don't know, like why are people looking to me for their fucking political opinions? I don't know the answer. Don't look to me for the answer. I don't want to, like, you shouldn't be looking to me. It's not my job to give you your political opinions, and I'm not gonna know everything. I understand in a way, like, I do think that you can obviously respect and identify with celebrities because their politics align with your existing beliefs. That's different than forming your opinions from that person. It is aligning yourself with that person because of the things that you already believe, matching what they believe in as well, and that therefore that connecting you to them. Right? Looking to celebrities to form your political opinions for you is fraught. Just ultimately. It's just for a lot of reasons, but mainly the lack of critical thinking, personally. Because a lot of times, like, you look to a celebrity and you're like, anything that they believe, I believe because I love them and I love their music. And that also kind of goes into, like, a parasocial nature of it as well that could be harmful. Like, you don't ultimately just want to believe in something just because someone that you love believes in it. There's nothing wrong with having a parasocial relationship, but like per se, but I think when it becomes harmful is when you're obsessed with that person and think that who that person is in turn. That in a way creates a higher level of ethos for that person, for you, and that can cause you to lose who you are because you will believe anything they say and defend anything they do, even if that might not be something that you'd ever consider condoning if you weren't parasocially connected to them. Did that make any sense? I know I said a lot, but essentially, like, looking to someone for your political opinions is not a good thing. You need to be able to come to conclusions yourself and do your own research and follow what you believe, and trust in that and establish that on your own. People can get you to believe in anything if you are connected to them in that parasocial way, and that's not a good thing. That's where sometimes cults can come from. Like, that's a whole other conversation, but like, you ultimately want to develop those opinions on your own. I understand that. If that is all she was saying, sure. But that's not all she was saying, okay? She literally said, like, you know, I don't have the answer. It's not my job. Like, I'm just a girl, basically. And, like, yes, she is allowed personhood. Like, everybody has their own humanity. I don't like it when people, like, see these celebrities, especially these musicians, as, like, just music factories. Like, give me what I want. Give me the album. Give me the song. Give me the single. Give me the merch. Like, she's a human. I understand. I am also just a girl, though. And I don't have the luxury of being able to turn everything off and of being able to not feel fear when I see, you know, people who look like me or who love like me being brutalized. Like, I don't have that luxury. I don't have millions of dollars to be able to not have to worry about my finances. I don't have that. I don't have any of those resources, you know? And so I understand it, but at the same time, it's like, if you put yourself in that position to be political, like, because she also, I think she said, like, I'm not political or something like that. If I'm misconstruing her words, because I haven't seen the clip in a while, but like, because I wrote these notes, I was trying to record this weeks ago, but I was tired. But correct me if I'm wrong, but she essentially, like, her whole vibe was, I'm not political. Like, don't look at me for your, like, I don't want to be, I'm not a political artist or whatever. And it's like, I just don't see that. Like, I don't accept that. It's just not something that you can really do if your entire story and a lot of your discography talks about you discovering and embracing what it means to be queer while and after growing up in the Midwest, which is famously not the most queer-friendly area. Like, you can't really say, oh, I'm not political, if that's, like, your whole brand. You know what I mean? And I think that is where people are having an issue with Chappell. She purports to want queer people to look up to her and to see her as a safe person, but it's like, okay, then you can't turn around and be like, no, I actually don't want to do that. Like, don't look at me to that. I'm not part of that. It's just all about the music. And it's like, but the music is political. Like, come on. Like, you can't establish yourself in that way. When she did establish herself fully in the cultural zeitgeist, it was on being queer and loving who you love. She's also boldly supported and been inspired by the drag community. She based a lot of her aesthetic on drag culture. She refused to play at the White House when Biden was in office because of his administration's actions affecting the Palestinian genocide. She was also incredibly reluctant to endorse Kamala Harris for president because of those same actions possibly continuing under a Harris administration. And like, you know what, that's fine. Like, I understand. I think that is like a whole other thing of like the whole debacle of her not endorsing Kamala. First of all, she wasn't pronouncing Kamala's name correctly, which pissed me off a little bit. Like, it's very easy. It's Kamala, okay? And so, but whatever. But also, like, she was very much like, you know, I don't want to support her because she supports Palestinian genocide, or her administration does. And I get that. Ultimately, though, if we're looking at what the alternative was, which is what we now have in office, I think it would have been really great for her to say, listen, I don't support everything Kamala does or stands for, but ultimately I endorse her because I am afraid of the alternative and for what my fellow LGBTQ plus people could experience under the alternative. And I would have been like, period. Like, that's exactly how you do it, because I don't agree with everything Kamala. I think she was too moderate for me personally. But like, at the same time, again, what is the alternative? What can we choose now that may not be the best option ever, but can get us to that best option and has the best chance of getting us there, you know?
But whatever, what's said is said. The persimmon prick is in the office. So it's like, what do you do? What do you do? So essentially it makes a lot of sense that people would expect Chappell to continue to be vocal about social issues, since she has done so before unprompted, and politics are seemingly an integral part of who she is. Some artists can use their music as a gateway for new fans to then learn more about them and then gradually learn more about their beliefs. So going from an initial listen on Spotify or TikTok to following on social media to being interested in live performances to tuning in for award shows, etc. So it could be a gradual sort of introduction, but it doesn't really seem like Chappell is interested in that either. She could easily be like, hey, here's my music, listen to my music, and eventually through listening to my music, you will learn more about me and who I am and what I value and what I believe. I think that's a great way to go about it, because that brings in a lot of people who may not have otherwise engaged with you or your music because they thought you were too radical or too strong or whatever, and you never would have reached them. But now they're listening to your music and they're like, oh, this is kind of a bop, and then learn more about you as a person and eventually like learn what you believe and are able to wrestle with that and hopefully eventually change their beliefs, and not necessarily just to align with yours, but because they see this person who has these views that are challenging theirs and causes them to think about that themselves, whereas they might not have done so earlier, right? And I think that's a great way to reach people, to reach more fans, to share your message in a gradual way that also still feels true to you and who you are as an artist. But again, doesn't seem like Chappell wants to do that either, like at all. And I think that is why people are so upset and disappointed. It seems like a massive step back from who Chappell was at the beginning of her rise to fame, like I mentioned. And I'm not saying that artists and celebrities aren't allowed to change. I'm not saying that at all. But when you consider the fact that Chappell was speaking about musicians not being able to afford healthcare on a national stage at the Grammys just a couple months ago, it does make you wonder where her head and heart actually lie on the issues she appears to care about. Like, I don't know. That's a real quick switch up, girly. We got it. We need some answers. All right. It's not very feminine of you. Okay. I love ya, but you got some splaining to do. And like, here's the thing. She's young. No, I don't even like that excuse either. Let me not, because I don't like when people bring up that excuse when people have like used racial slurs and stuff when they were 17 and they're like, oh, she's young. Well, it's like, no, I knew that was a bad word when I got called it when I was like 9 years old in elementary school. So like, nah, y'all done knew, okay? I do want to give her some grace because I genuinely don't think that she anticipated rising to fame and this level of visibility as quickly as she has. But at the same time, like, she does have a privilege. She has so many privileges, class-wise, race-wise. So I really think that, like, this is not a great look, and I really hope that she takes time to reflect, maybe, get someone on her PR team. But even then, like, I genuinely hope that she takes the time to, like, really wrestle with and reflect on this for herself, not even just for her as an artist and her image, but genuinely try to maybe change some of the ways that she thinks about things. I don't know. It's kind of sad. It puts a bad taste in my mouth because I'm like, man, I was hoping that we had another, pop icon that stood for something. And no, it's kind of giving, a lot of people are saying it's giving gay Taylor Swift. And I'm sorry, I would have to agree. Like, Taylor can do all she wants with making songs like If I Were a Man, but turn around and date people who are supportive of people who are exactly what she's singing against in her songs. And so, yeah, it does put a bad taste in my mouth. I really hope that Chappell, I haven't really looked into the issue and like what she's been doing in the past like 2 months month since she appeared on Call Her Daddy. And also, that's another thing, the very fact that she appeared on a podcast that has like very clearly not been the most progressive, I guess, or maybe they definitely were under a veil of being progressive, but definitely weren't. Like, I don't know if she didn't do a lot of research on where she was going and who she was speaking to, but yeah, I don't know. It's definitely something that I think about whenever I hear her songs now, and it sucks. So that is really all I have for you guys. I am going to do some laundry and go pet my cat and my dog. I will probably, I'm not making any promises, but I have so many ideas. I literally have a whole ass like document of stuff that I want to talk about and have been wanting to talk about for so long, but I just have been so tired. And that's another thing. I am trying to find new doctors for literally everything now because my insurance changed and there's a whole thing with me not being covered anymore by my original doctors and blah 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 blah. And so yeah, I've been going through it because I need to be treated is the thing. You know, I'm tired. Hopefully things improve. Also, if you guys have any tips on like how to fit exercise and movement into your day, please let me know. I commute to my job and I'm starting to get used to it, but it does kind of like wear me out, I will say. And so by the time I get home in the evening, I'm like, girl, I don't want to do shit. I'm trying to catch some Z's. But in the morning, it's not like I can really do any movement because I'm already waking up so early that I'm just like, I can't. Like, I simply cannot. And I used to wake up super early, like 5:30 to like work out and stuff. And it would be a nice little start to my day. But those were the college days, and I'm not in college. I feel like I've aged like 50 years. It's been 84 years. That's me, okay? I feel I'm plumb tuckered out. I hope you all are doing fabulously, even if you aren't, because there are many reasons to not. I hope you're still able to find something that brings you joy this week, and to, you know, keep fighting the fight, take rests when you need to, but we are going to get through this, and there's always something every day, but also, like, we're always waking up every day and facing these things with bravery, and that in itself is brave enough, is being able to keep going. And I have to keep reminding myself of that because sometimes I feel like I'm just crying and shit, and I'm like, girl, what is this doing? This ain't solving nothing. There are people still dying out there. The world is still shit. You can't wipe your tears. But no, I have to remind myself, like, it is still so powerful to just wake up and to continue on with life day by day. That is very brave, and we should all be proud of ourselves for continuing. I hope that in that continuation you do find strength and hope and community. You lean on your friends, you lean on your family, and know that this too shall pass, and that things will get better. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.